This is Kangaroo Island, located off the southern coast of Australia. It's a place of stunning landscapes that are surrounded by a rugged and dangerous coastline. It is also a location for some of Australia's unique flora and fauna. So today, join me out in the field where I photograph some of the amazing bird life that this island has to offer. The first place I'm visiting is Cape St Albans on the eastern side of the island. This is an area with a history of powerful swells and many shipwrecks. This is a windswept location that constantly takes the brunt of the roaring 40s. But even with this extreme weather, there are still great opportunities for small bird shooting. So it is a absolutely freezing, breezy day today. I think there's about 25 knot winds and it's coming straight from the ocean right to me. So it's a bit nippy. Now I'm dressed for the occasion, but it's still quite fresh. So I apologize for the blown out audio here. But this is small bird heaven here. There's shrubs, there's clumps of grass around here. So I have seen fairy wrens, I have seen silver eyes, which I haven't been able to get close to before. And a bird I haven't seen before is a white-throated chat, which I did not know existed in this area, which is pretty good. They sound like finches, but don't look like finches. There's a few birds of prey as well as a few currawongs around. I saw a wedge-tailed eagle flying over earlier this morning, so it's all happening. What I'm going to do is try and brave the elements and capture some small bird action in these shrubs here. Now these guys are struggling against the wind, so they just jump in between shrub to grass clump to grass clump. So it is my goal to get some behavior here, get some perch shots without disturbing them too much. So the gear I have today is my trusty Z8, my Nikon 100-400, and I'm using a teleconverter here because these birds are quite skittish and it gives me that extra reach out shooting across these fields here. So I want to get to it. Enough words, let's start shooting, let's get to it. Sorry to interrupt, just want to tell you that my audio was ruined from wind noise, so please enjoy some voiceover. That's a bird on a sheep. Watch this lamb's tail. Loving it. Alright, back to the show. I decided to move further down the hill to a larger bunch of shrubs which seemed to be the place for chat action. Here is the white-fronted chat. And this is him making a call. It sounds like a finch, but not quite. The female is quite drab compared to the male. Since this was small bird country, I knew fairy wrens were near. I could hear them, but could not see them. After a good 30 minutes, the chats made a mad dash up the hill towards the cabin, making quite the racket as they went. This was because Australia's largest bird of prey, the wedge-tailed eagle, had just pulled the plug on the party. As the small birds disappeared into their shrubs, many birds of prey emerged into the field. All the stars were here, from currawongs to ravens, and even a Nankin kestrel made an appearance. There were no calls from small birds during this time. With the constant conga line of birds of prey, these small birds weren't having it, so I decided to focus my attention on a pair of welcome swallows that were in the process of building a nest under some guttering of the cabin. There's really nothing like trying to photograph swallows in gale force winds. As the sun started to set, the wind began to die down. The birds of prey had moved on, and so the small birds returned. It was my last chance to get some more chat shots before dark, but this afternoon it was the silvereye and fairy wren show. Being serenaded by the calls of small birds while watching a rapidly setting sun in the middle of a rather chilly paddock is my idea of a good time. St. Cape Albans really delivered with its bird life, from small birds to large birds. Even though this was grazing land, the bird life was phenomenal. No better place to be. I'm moving on now to another location, this time a spot called Duck Lagoon. With an incredible and picturesque drive-in, I had high hopes for some good bird photography. This place is designed for birding, with a few bird hides in place to watch ducks do their thing from a distance. I can see lots and lots of ducks. There's lots of small birds chittering around here. There's magpies. There's lots and lots of small birds and ducks. So I'm after ducks today. Really, I'm just after anything that pops up. I'm after anything and everything. So I'm going to set up here, stick the old hand cannon through the holes here and see what I can get. There's lots of small birds behind me, and there's fairy wrens back down at the car park. So it's all happening here. It's just a shame about the wind, but the lighting is beautiful this morning. So enough words, let's get to it. So I've got some ducks just on this sunken log here. They're all just enjoying the sun there, having a little sleep. The setup I have, Z8 100-400, and I'm using a teleconverter, which I think is necessary in these hides. It's truly an Australian scene here with all these white gums in the background there. Moving to the next hide, I had the feeling I was being watched, and I was right. One male magpie was following me from tree to tree. It is swooping season, after all. Just survived the walk there, got swooped by one magpie. In another hide here, this is a little bit more open. There's a lot more areas for smaller birds like fairy wrens, so I can hear a few out there. There's a few ducks out here, but not as much as the previous area, but it's still very nice nonetheless. So I'll get set up again and see what I can get. Alright, so I just have some fairy wrens out here. They're so loud, you could probably hear the noise. It was just on the trunk as a blue male, because when these birds are in breeding season, they get that beautiful blue colours on them. Alright, so I got the family of fairy wrens down here, but there's two blue males down here. I got some shots of some footage, and I'm just after some nice portraits here. So it's all happening at the moment. Got a fairy wren on a branch right there making calls. He's chatting away. I got some still photos and I'm shooting now. Okay, and he's right on the edge of this branch, making his calls. Incredible. It just happened. It was just fairy wrens left and right. And I got this little guy on the branch there, and he just stood there and pranced around. Good stuff. Good stuff. This was one of my most favourite encounters with a fairy wren. They're tiny birds with lots of contagious energy. With other places to be, I slowly started moving back to the car. Apparently, I was not fast enough. I have been swooped over 10 times this year, and it's always an extremely startling experience. It just comes out of nowhere, especially when you least expect it. Duck Lagoon is a cracking spot for birding. Many types of birds take refuge in the many gums around the area. It really is a great place, especially if you are a magpie fanatic. Moving to another spot once again, this time along the shoreline. Apparently there's lots and lots of birds here. Honey eaters, small birds, the usual culprits. So I'm just going to go down here, try and capture everything and anything again. We've got some beautiful light here, backlighting here, and it's sort of protected out of the wind. As I say that, it starts to breeze, starts to kick off. But anyway, it should be nice. Let's see where I can end up and what I can capture. Everywhere I went, I saw and heard the same birds, especially fairy wrens. And after a while, I was starting to get a little bit tired of them, which is an extremely sacrilegious thing to say. They were literally everywhere though. But there was one bird that I just could not get a decent photo of. It was either too far away or I just wasn't quick enough. And that was the New Holland honeyeater. Like all honeyeaters, they're small, loud, very fast, and very energetic. After scouring the shoreline and wading around native flowering trees and shrubs, I decided to call it a day. While doing this wading, I happened to see a pair of sooty oyster catchers playing chasies. A little wattlebird devouring a moth, a currawong looking a little bit guilty, and a sleepy gull. I pretty much saw every bird except the New Holland honeyeater. Very annoying. While I was relaxing on the balcony at the place I was staying at, I heard their loud calls, but this time very close. And, luckily enough, they were literally outside my window. So I spent the rest of the afternoon photographing these birds, all the while as I ate soft cheese. Birding while eating soft cheese, hey? How decadent. I love seeing the agility birds of this size have. Look at that focus. During my time on Kangaroo Island, I experienced only a taste of what bird life this place has to offer. With its pristine landscapes, from grazing lands to traditional Australian bush, it's one of the most beautiful and quiet places I have seen in this country. Plus, you couldn't ask for a better place for bird photography. I did get some shots and experience that I will always remember, but I would have loved to have captured some rarer, more endangered birds. But maybe next time. As usual, thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.